Good morning and a warm welcome to this week's post-cabinet press briefing. I am Press Secretary Philomena Robertson. Thank you to members of the media who are in the room and to those of you who have joined us via radio, television, social media. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're here on a Wednesday today because, of course, you would have been aware of the meeting of the House of Representatives yesterday. This morning, our focus is on education, as you can tell by the ministers we have present here this morning. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Minister for Education, Human Resource Development and Religious Affairs, Honorable Emmeline Pear, and Minister with responsibility for tertiary education, skill development and educational outreach, Honorable Pamela Moses. Ministers, welcome. Honorable Moses, I think I would ask you to open the floor this morning. I'm sure you have an opening statement, lots of developments in your area that you would like to inform us of this morning. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and good morning to each and every one of you here today and to the listening public. Good morning to everyone. In our department, tertiary education, we're very pleased to announce a brand new partnership between the Government of Grenada, the New Life Organization, and the UK Department for International Development, known as DFID. Although we're just in the implementation phase of that project, we would like you to know that this is a project that the Government of Grenada was going to fund 100%. But when DFID came on board, DFID agreed to fund 65% of that project. And so Grenada only has to fund the remaining 35%. This is a wonderful savings for our country. The project costs $3.3 million, and the project will be training a total of 360 participants who will be awarded CVQ certification by the National Training Agency over a period of 3 years. The project has been given the name SKY, Skills for Youth Employment. Skills for Youth Employment is really a certificated TVET program for young people that would aim to provide them with the training skills that they need to find jobs in the industry today. We are fully aware that there are jobs available, but the challenge our Grenadian populations find, whether it's youths or young adults, is that when requested for certificates, they have none. So this here program will provide them with the certificate that they would need to access those jobs out there. SKY will really deliver a competency-based training program to unemployed, disadvantaged people, persons in the community. But that's not all. This program, this collaboration between the Government of Grenada, NULO, and DFID would look further at disadvantaged persons. So someone who is disabled would have an opportunity to take part in this program and so become CVQ certified. They can work in Grenada or any part of the Caribbean. So it is part of the policy of this new program that we're putting together at NULO that 10% of the trainees will be disabled persons. And folks, this is really a wonderful idea. This is one sector of our one group of persons who we have not done much programs for before, and so we are really honored that they would have an opportunity. And all the participants, all 360 of them, would have an opportunity to select from 5 main areas, 5 different sectors, so that they can access employment. And these areas were selected based on labor market assessments. Many times, programs are launched and research is not done. Programs are just, rolled out, and it doesn't serve the need of the country. But these 5 areas that were selected will ensure that our country is in a better position for the future. Folks, we have no idea what the jobs of the future will be, but we know that these are some of our immediate needs, and so the 5 areas would be health, and I repeat, health and service sector, the construction sector, information technology, agribusiness sector, hospitality and tourism sector. Those have been identified as our main needs right now. And from these 5 sectors, the participants would have an opportunity to select 14 skills around all these 5 areas. And at the end of the training process, all participants would have an opportunity in the real world of work through internship placements. And so it is expected that the internship period will provide either temporary or permanent employment for them in the various companies, whether it is public, government, or in the private sector. This project, like I mentioned, is 65% sponsored by DFID. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank DFID significantly for coming on board and seeing the project as viable, because like I did say before, government would have funded this 100%. Our aim as a ministry was to use one of our tertiary institutions that is excelling, that is producing the sort of trainees that industry grab hold of. When a NULO trainee go into one of the hotels, one of the industry, they are kept there. And so we thought that NULO was not maximizing its production. To be such a stellar a stellar tertiary institution and only have, daytime training. We want to see evening school, night school, and so this really was the objective. And I am very happy to say that this is about to start this September 2019. NULO will not just maximize its production, it will really double it. So NULO will be producing twice time the amount of trainees that it has been producing through the year as a result of this initiative by our ministry and support given fully by government and the UK funding agency, DFID. I just want to move on quickly to link this, the savings that we've had from this project, because, we're saving 65%. This now can go into completing the Snell Hall Skills Development Institute, where we'll be producing furniture for schools. This will also open in September with a maximum of 16 persons being trained yearly. They will attain their CVQs in woodwork, or furniture making, and they will not only get a CVQ certificate, but at the end of it all, they will be producing for the market, for the schools, and so further help to put our country in a better financial position, as opposed to ordering furnitures from away and things like that. Another center we'll be opening this year is located in Malmont in St. David's. It would be in the Great House, that's in the big yard. School uniforms will be produced there, and these school uniforms will focus mainly on white shirts, school shirts to start. They'll be mass produced there, and it will help to offset the costs in our school voucher program and other uniforms that government use, whether it's in the hospital, whether it is in prisons, wherever, government has to purchase uniforms or, lots of clothing, these centers can produce it. A third center, which is really just in the planning stages, we've just had consultations last week, and that is another empty government building that is in River Sally in St. Patrick. There's a massive community center there that was a hurricane shelter, but, you know, due to circumstances that occurred, it's no more a shelter. We've had many challenges there. We have decided that we would utilize that area and turn it into one of our National Skills Development Institute. And so, as a production center, it will be producing baked goods, you know, and training persons for the hospitality and tourism sector, baked goods for the community, for schools, any area where you need nutritious baked goods, we would be producing that there. So that is the whole plan, as well as to produce some of the school uniforms, as the Malmont building is not as huge. River Sally has extra space, so we'd also produce some uniforms there. So this is in the early stages, River Sally. And I just want to end by, you know, I think it's some wonderful news. I think that you're aware late last year that the University of the West Indies was named the best university in the Caribbean. Now, I knew that, and I'm sure that you also knew that. But something else, it was also named in the top 5% of outstanding universities in the entire world. Now, that is a wonderful achievement. And I just want to say that it is a very well-known fact that all Caribbean countries, all of the islands in the Caribbean, contribute financially to the running of the university. And when a Grenadian student attends the University of the West Indies, whether it is in Barbados, Jamaica, or Trinidad, or whether it is open campus, online or wherever, they really only pay 20% of the economic cost. Your government pays 80% of that cost for you. And so that is why so many people can train online, you know, and continue working, pay the 20% from their salaries, they can really, really function. And just finally, last part of it all, the University of the West Indies just 2 weeks ago named Grenada now as the best paying island in the entire Caribbean towards tuition economic costs of its students. They've really made it so clear that we are so reliable in paying almost $500,000 monthly on behalf of Grenadian students that the university can pay all its bills as a result of our payment. They can wait on it and say, okay, this month we expect Grenada's money, not other islands' money. We expect Grenada's money, exactly $516,000. That we expect that money, and so we can function, we can pay off bill X, Y, or Z. So I just want to say to all Grenadian students, whether you study online, open campus, or you're at the physical campus, just know that this government is really, you know, valuing what you're doing for yourself, for your family, and really for your country. And we'll continue to do all in our power to practice fiscal discipline. And I want to say that is why we're able to be one of the best paying islands and ensure that Grenada students continue with their education online. Whether you are a worker in our ministry, or you are a teacher in the school, or you are an unemployed person at home, wherever you are, whatever you do, this is what your country is doing for you, regularly and with full commitment, always. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Moses. Now, that's certainly a lot of good news there for us. The various centers that will come on stream, the new partnership with DFID, and so many young people in Grenada will benefit, and particularly those who are physically challenged. Minister said at least 10% of those who will benefit will be such persons. So we're making our programs inclusive of everyone in the society. That's certainly something that we have to be proud of. I now invite Minister Emmeline Pear to make an opening statement.
Thank you very much, Madam Press Secretary, and let me say good morning to members of the media present this morning, and of course to those who are viewing and listening to this morning's program. As Minister Moses reported, and speaking on the final point that she did, it just brought back a conversation that I had with a UE student yesterday who was requesting assistance, and I said to her, additional assistance. And what Minister Moses just shared, I was sharing basically that same information with her. And she said, Minister, you'll need to say those things publicly because I never knew that. It was the first time I was aware that what I was paying was not the actual cost, that government was subsidizing this to a significant amount. So the information provided is so important. So many people out there need to know what is happening, and sometimes I think we don't do a good enough job of letting the public know what is happening, and I'm sure many people would appreciate the information this morning. Yesterday, just in terms of information also, yesterday there was a handing over ceremony in a village called Gut. I'm sure members of the media would have no clue where that is, and I see the heads nodding no. So that's some probably research for the media. So it's a little village just behind Paraclete, Upper St. John's, and the Ministry of Education yesterday opened an ICT center, solar-powered, fully solar-powered center in Gut, very rural community. And what is interesting, what is important to note about this opening, which I believe it deserved the news, is that it is the very first of its kind in Carriacou. This center is one that is not just solar-powered, but it caters to the needs of all persons of the society. Minister Moses mentioned physically challenged persons. The concept of this didn't just take into consideration students and adults and people in the society who may need to benefit from such a facility, but it catered also for the physically challenged. So the wheelchair ramp was actually constructed to facilitate that. But not only that, sometimes we do the ramp, but the program itself does not facilitate sufficiently persons of that challenge. But I'm happy to report that both software and hardware in the facility caters for the physically challenged. So it provides ICT services, broadband internet services, training for members of the community, all members of the community, other educational activities focusing particularly on students. And I was saying to the education officers yesterday that this center must be seen as an extension of the classroom. In addition to that, I also want to mention the 21 computers, robotic kits, and so on, really promoting STEM and really promoting ICT education at a different level, because sometimes we focus on what is the norm, what we go by every day, and we don't look ahead, we don't look to the future, what is happening beyond. I want to recognize Ministry of Works, ICT department particularly. I want to recognize NTRC, and they were very instrumental as it relates to funding for this project. I want to recognize especially the ICT unit at the Ministry of Education. Those guys, they have been doing an excellent job, and I really want to recognize them, and the coordinator as it relates to curriculum, as it relates to ICT, Mr. Cato, for the work that they did in that regard. Especially, I want to recognize the community. The community played a very significant role in terms of that project, and of course, they must be commended. And particularly, too, I want to recognize the parliamentary representative who actually cut the ribbon to open the door to the facility yesterday, Minister Kate Lewis, for the role that she played and committed to play as it relates to the management of the facility. Not just the management, but the implementation of the program. Minister Kate Lewis's role would be significant because as a government, of course, we cannot be on the ground 24/7, so we expect that the parliamentary representative will play a key role as it relates to the implementation of that project, working together with the managing team that will be actually doing the implementation there, and of course, the officials from the Ministry of Education who are expected to play a key role. I also want to flag the importance of that project from another perspective, that while we speak education and while we speak development, we have to be very mindful of where the world is heading, and we have to make sure we are not left behind, and I said so yesterday. So we can't escape the fact that the fourth industrial revolution is upon us. So in education, we talk about a lot of things, but we have to make sure that our conversation is relevant. And that is why I always challenge the media. We have to make sure conversation is very relevant. Because when you look at what is happening in the world, the changes that are happening at a very fast pace, we better get right our conversation because we are going to be left behind. So we have the issue of artificial intelligence. Where would our students be in the next couple of years? Will they be left behind? These are conversations we need to have, and we need to have not just within the education sector, but within the general public, So there are a lot of things we need to talk about that we need to talk about more. And that is why I'm so impressed with that facility, because it speaks directly to where education should be heading and the kind of approach we should be taking to education. So the online programs, the robotic kits that are there, is to really get students to start thinking a particular way. We need to focus on innovation more, not just telling children what they need to repeat, but get them thinking, to be innovators, to be scientists, to develop things. And I'm really, really excited about the prospect for this center, but not just for that community. We have to ensure that in short time that we roll out more of those facilities throughout the island. We do have a number of centers throughout the island. Minister spoke about some that are going to be used for other reasons, but we have to make sure many of those programs that she referred to and those that focus on ICT, we give attention to that. I want to also this morning speak about the GEEP project. And those projects we're referring to are projects that Cabinet discussed on Monday, and we are using the opportunity to update the public. Some $43 million, EC dollars, have been set aside, allocated for this project. And this project, as you may know, facilitates the development, infrastructural development of our schools. Of course, not all of our schools, but a number of our schools. But it also facilitates training and development of people, particularly people in the education sector. That is why recently I said to you, Cabinet approved just about 30 teachers where we are going to be paying in full any balance that they have as it relates to furthering their education at first degree at the master's level. Cabinet has made that decision, and we intend to do the same for about 30 more teachers within very short time. So the issue of training and development is a component of that project, but there's the infrastructural. I want to just make reference to some schools this morning, and while this may not be a complete list of all schools that we are working on under this particular project, I just want to give an update as to where we are and where we plan to go. Grenada Christian Academy, St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School, and St. David's Secondary School. I know there's been a lot of question out there as to will those projects ever get started, as in new schools to be constructed based on the current situation. I want to say to you that we are getting very close to the completion of the environmental assessment for those projects, and that we expect that the design phase, because with those projects, very detailed in terms of design and environmental assessment and the impact and so on, we expect by year end that process would be completed so that we can actually start construction. In terms of expansion, rehabilitation, protection through retaining walls and so on, we have Bishop's College, Grenada SDA Comprehensive, and PBC. And just to say to you that we expect by September, construction would actually start in those three cases. In the case of St. Joseph's Convent, Grenville, J.W. Fletcher, and St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's, in the case of St. Joseph's Convent, St. George, it's actually a retaining wall, very dangerous situation there. And we expect that by June, construction would actually start. And in the case of the other two previously mentioned, by June, we should have the start of the design work for the expansion of those schools. Holy Cross RC School, there's been a lot of questions in the media concerning that and the delays that we've had with regards to that school. And we know the circumstances after Hurricane Ivan, that there was a need to construct a new school. And so I wish to inform the public that to a cost of just about $5.4 million, that school is complete. And we expect that within another week or two, we should be announcing an opening ceremony for that school. Using the opportunity also to update you on River Sally Preschool, Happy Hill, Brizan Preschool, and Paradise Preschool. We expect that construction will begin between June and July as it relates to River Sally. Construction will begin before year end for Happy Hill and the Paradise Preschool. Just to say, we've had some challenges with regards to identifying lands, both for Paradise and Happy Hill, but I'm happy to report that lands identified already provided officially to the Ministry of Education that they can start the work through the BNTF project on those two initiatives. Only yesterday we got confirmation on the land for Happy Hill, Brizan, and I'm really, really happy because we know the challenges faced by some of those schools. There are many other schools, and there are millions of dollars additionally allocated for refurbishment of a number of our other schools. And just to say that we continue that rehabilitation project. Last August, we would have done somewhere between 25 and 30 schools, and we continue to do that. The cry would always be there, and of course, we understand the cry because they are justified, I believe, in all cases, and we continue to do the very best that we can. I want to mention Constantine Primary School also. Little bit different in that we know the humidity issue in that area, similar to if we had a school in the Granitang area. I think it would be the same. We are doing the best we can. It's a battle, it's a challenge, but there are some steps that we are taking. Only this week we're going to be asking Ministry of Works for some support. We intend to bring in the environmental warden, see if we can do some trimming of the trees, all that we can, because the concerns remold in that school is a concern that will not go away if we don't address the humidity issue there. So we're going to be doing some scraping of the walls, repainting of the walls, clearing of some drains, all the possible proactive measures we can take. But just to say to you that this is not an issue where it's a school that's been abandoned and nobody is interested in ensuring that this situation does not occur. It's a situation we will always battle with because of the humidity there. Grenville Secondary, that too has been in the media for some time. Just to place on record, appreciation, Ministry of Works and the Grenada Financial Complex Limited. I really want to commend both, because sometimes we don't know the details, and sometimes we're to blame. We're to be blamed for not providing the details, because many persons assumed that in this case it was a simple case of just sending a plumber to the school. And you saw a number of postings on social media. Let me say that plumbers could not do much in this situation. Actually, we had to engage engineers at the highest level to make sure that this happened. And I'm really, really happy that we were able to solve the problem there. School is back to normal. We had disruptions as a result. When the project started, we never anticipated it was such a deep problem, lines that were blocked maybe from since the construction of the school. That is behind us, and we're extremely happy about that. I want to use the opportunity this morning also to make mention of some concerns we do have about violence in school. Not something new, but of course, violence in school, even if it happens once, is too many. And we do have some schools that we have flagged and will be providing special support to in that regard. There is a special committee set up to look at a special program of intervention that would engage not just the school, students, parents, the community, and we intend to make sure that this is something that we bring under control with regards to added initiatives that we're going to presently, the counselors and all of the programs existing, we appreciate that this is working, but we do have some challenges and we need to do more. So school management, all of those would be looked at as to how we move forward. Grenada National Secondary School Games. This morning, all I want to say is thank you. There are so many people who made this the success it was. And I really want to express this morning, on behalf of the government of Grenada, our sincerest appreciation to all of those persons, frontline, behind the scenes, all the persons who made a contribution, directly or indirectly, to the success of the Games. But permit me to single out this morning a couple persons. I want to first of all recognize the support of the Cabinet of Grenada. When the Secondary School Principals Association indicated they were unable, immediately the Cabinet supported that we should do the Games for one reason only, to give students an opportunity. And that we proceeded immediately, and so I want to commend the director of the Games, Mr. Cullen Peters, two other persons who worked extremely closely with him, who I think deserve special recognition, Mr. Jerry Alexis and Ms. Razel Andrew. Of course, I want to also recognize the team at the Ministry of Education, the Minister, Permanent Secretary, and staff at the Ministry of Sports, all of the sponsors. We did have sponsors, those who we have promoted and those who said, you know, we did this for the children, we don't even want to be mentioned. All of the sponsors, we want to especially recognize them this morning. The officials, without them, this would not have been possible. The zonal meet, we went all around the island, including Carriacou, and they were so very committed to the process. The principals and teachers who supported this, I want to say thank you. The athletes and all of the persons who came out on the day for the finals of the Games, I want to express sincerest appreciation for what we have been able to achieve for the students of our country, for the athletes. And, you know, as I say this, I had a conversation with a student who went for second year. And she admitted to me that this was the only reason she went back for a second year in Form 5. And that student spoke to me after the sports meet. And, you know, I thought to myself, if we did it just for her and those who went back for second year, it was a reason to do it. The final area that I want to mention this morning is school-based assessment, SBA. Just to say that all schools, I believe the last time I was here, I mentioned that we had 3 schools that did not make any entry at that point. Just to say that to date, all schools have entered onto the system scores, and we have had significant cooperation and support from all the principals of all the secondary schools, and they continue to work with the Ministry of Education, extremely supportive. And while I did also mention we've been having some technical challenges with the system as well, not necessarily from our end because it's a regional system, the cooperation and the support, the feedback from the principals and teachers in terms of this, I just really want to place on record this morning again, because I think I did that before, the appreciation for this. Finally, I just want to, I did say finally, I want to make mention of my address to teachers yesterday. at the GUT conference. And just to say, if anything I say about that, is to register the Ministry of Education's willingness to sit with the Grenada Union of Teachers to discuss the way forward. After last year's conference, which is an annual conference, I met with the president of the union and invited the executive to a monthly meeting with the Ministry of Education. Before the industrial actions, we were able to have 2 meetings. And as I said to the teachers yesterday, in my view, those 2 meetings set the tone and really did indicate, in my opinion, that we were ready to sit and work together to chart the way forward for the education system, and particularly to address outstanding matters between the Ministry of Education, Government of Grenada, and the Grenada Union of Teachers. Unfortunately, since the industrial action, we have not been able to find the time to sit and to continue discussion. And so yesterday I made that appeal, outlining and identifying the importance of collaboration, outlining the importance of communication in any organization if that organization is to be successful. I also use the opportunity to encourage the new executive, congratulate and encourage them to do a thorough assessment, evaluation of the organization, like any organization should do, to really look at the strategies, the approaches of the union, and to determine, in their opinion, what approach works best for the organization and for teachers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Pear. It's now time to open the floor to questions from members of the media. As per usual, please identify yourself and your media house before you ask your question.
Good morning. Good morning, Anisha Samuel, the Grenadian Voice newspaper. Minister Pear, can you please speak a little more of the GIP project, the objectives, and what is the meaning of GIP?
Right, so the GIP project really is a project that's designed support from the Caribbean Development Bank, and that project has to do with enhancement, development, infrastructural development, as well as the training aspect, development of the human capacity. And that project, as I said, supported by the Caribbean Development Bank. It's part loan and part grant. Majority of it is actually a loan, special loan. And that project is a project that's been around for a little while, but we have been very slow in implementing for a number of reasons. We have recently made some changes within that program to fast track what we're doing there and to ensure that we reap the full benefit of that project. So within the Ministry of Education, we work closely with the Ministry of Finance. The person who is currently overseeing the infrastructural part of that project is actually in the Ministry of Finance, and we work closely with them to ensure that we need to move, particularly, and I mentioned those schools because I know there are major concerns out there that we've spoken about this for some time now. We need to move, we need to make sure that there is action. But I don't want us to only focus on the infrastructure, because with that project, you always hear about the infrastructural side. So there's development of the human capacity in the school, within the ministry as well. So our customer service, that's a critical issue. There's actually a component that deals with customer service. So it's a general project funded by the Caribbean Development Bank with counterpart funding, I should also add, from the government of Grenada. So government has to put in a portion, the Caribbean Development puts in a portion as grant, and then there's the other part of it that is loan. So there's about $16 million thereabout that is in the grant part of it, and the rest of it is actually the loan. Yes. Grenada Educational Enhancement Project. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Minister. Karima Lewis, the New Today newspaper. You spoke about violence in schools. You also mentioned special support and added initiatives. Can you expound on that a bit for me, please?
So over the years, we have been dealing with violence in school, and violence in schools probably has been there before we were even born. So it's not something new, but it is something that we must never rest in terms of addressing, because we have seen firsthand what it has the potential to escalate into. The Ministry of Education, Ministry of Social Development has always been implementing projects within our schools. So we do have, and government has invested over the years in counselors, all of that part of the support mechanism for what is happening and the concerns. Not that that is the only reason that we have counselors in schools, but our counselors are doing an excellent job. But as I said to the staff, there's a point at which some things become an issue of national security concern. So there's a point at which your counselors and all of those persons take total charge, and there's a point at which national security expresses concern. And there are some cases in which we are concerned as it relates to a national security perspective. That is why we have engaged the Royal Grenada Police Force, and the Commissioner of Police, I know, has a deep interest in this, and we are working together as a team, Ministry of Social Services, Ministry of Education, the Royal Grenada Police Force, and all the other entities, parents and so on, working together to find the best solution to deal with those extreme cases or problems that we have, which is not just problem of school. If you trace them, they go right back, the community to our homes, and we have to find a collaborative approach to address them. But we do have some major concerns there.
As Minister of Education, would you want to make any comments towards the Michael Alexander case, being that a school-age child was allegedly sexually abused?
Well, as Minister for Education, I would say this: any child, doesn't even have to be a school-age child, any child who is sexually abused, any child who has been, exposed to a situation where they're not treated as a child, as Minister, I would say this cannot be something as a society that we can be happy about. In the particular case that you refer to, the court has ruled. I cannot say how the court has ruled and why they've ruled the way that they've ruled. But what I can say to you this morning is that the government of Grenada is extremely concerned about this particular initiative situation, not just that particular child, but every child who has been affected by sexual abuse. The Ministry of Social Services, the minister led by the minister, I believe, has been doing an excellent job in developing initiatives, working towards addressing those issues. The Royal Grenada Police Force has also been totally on board with the ministry, and I do want to commend the ministry for all of the initiatives. Now, these issues that we face cannot just be seen as government issues, and I think that's something we need to really make clear publicly. Every Grenadian need to make sure that they're on board in terms of supporting the addressing of those issues. What do we do within our communities? How do we help to protect our children? What are the do's and don'ts for parents, for guardians? How do we treat with children within the community? So this is something that as a nation, we have to band together to address. As it relates to the case, I do not want to comment on a case that has been ruled upon by the judiciary, but I'll say to you this morning, it is painful what has happened to this child and every other child affected. Government would continue to do all that it can to continue this fight with the support of the general public.
My last question, the last time you were here, you were asked a question about corporal punishment. The issue of it being the call for it to be banned was made by this group. I wanted to know exactly how far the government is, towards actually heeding to that call.
Right. So the question sounds like government has decided to heed to the call. All right. Let me clarify this. Now, the subject of corporal punishment is one that's been around for a long time as well. And over the years, there's been many calls. And I would want to suspect that some years ago, when there was some amendment to the Education Act, I don't know if you recall that, you probably was in school at that time, when the Education Act was amended to say how corporal punishment must be administered, I would want to believe it may have come out of some calls of concern as it relates to abuse. Because corporal punishment is one thing, abuse is another thing, and some persons may totally agree with me because some persons see corporal punishment as equal to abuse. I can speak to what currently exists, right? What we would like to see happen, as in some bodies within our society, is a different issue, and it calls for continued dialogue. The church's position has been consistent and very clear, and the church would say to you, spare the rod and spoil the child, right? The church has a very strong view on this. Organizations that are supportive of children and believe that everything must be done to prevent abuse of children, they also have a very strong position that corporal punishment should be totally banned. Currently, corporal punishment is allowed, right, within our school system. The Education Act speaks of the how. And what I can say, as it relates to any change in that, it is something that would call for deep dialogue, deep conversation. It is not something that government would want to step in and make changes to without deep dialogue with our churches, because the churches may say, for example, we think corporal punishment is okay, but we have concerns about how it is done, how it's administered. I would probably assume the church would be very concerned about this. Now, in the case of the organization, there is need for conversation with them too. So there's a dialogue that needs to take place, and government is there in the middle, and I believe government must listen to both sides. What are the concerns? What are the issues? Why should we ban? There must be a reason why this is proposed. And of course, I know for a fact that government is quite prepared to listen to all parties and all concerns, and whatever decision government has to make will be after listening to all concern on this matter.
The parties, would that, could that include parents?
Conversation. I believe the greatest concern is what happens when people administer corporal punishment. It is a fact that some children end up with severe bruises, severe broken limbs because of corporal punishment. And the way, and I'm not speaking about in school here, within the society, and this is way back as well. Now, I think the conversation for most persons is not the issue of corporal punishment. The issue for many people is how corporal punishment is administered, and do we achieve the expected outcome? What do you want to achieve when you administer corporal punishment, and do you actually achieve that when you do? So I think the conversation is one that's important, because different voices are speaking. The church's voice is extremely strong on this, and the church has a position. We respect the church's position. The non-governmental organizations have a position. And as a government, we have to listen to everybody. But government's decision cannot be after listening to one group of person, the non-governmental organization. We must listen to the church on this matter. We must listen to the entire society on this particular subject.
Rakisha St. Louis, GIS, Minister Moses. I just want some more information on two of the particular centers, Marmount, which will be doing mass production for uniforms, and the one at River Sally, which is still in the making. I want to find out how or who are going to be engaged, and how will there be pre-training before the centers are open, or are you going to engage? I know there are a lot of training now in garment production. We have Imanis doing that. So who exactly will be involved?
Yes, we are in the process right now of doing all the terms of reference and putting all these fine things together. No one has been selected as yet, but what we what we will be doing would be getting new persons, okay? It wouldn't be the Imani trainees, because most of our Imani trainees already have their CVQ qualifications, certificates, yeah? Many of them are, that's one of the main objectives of the Imani program, ensure all of them are certified. Now, these persons who would be training and, of course, also producing will be acquiring their CVQ qualifications at the same time. All right? So we will have persons specifically employed to assist in production, because, a trainee cannot produce as much. So we will have employed persons for production, and we would also have trainees, while they're learning, also contributing to production. And so at the end of it all, they would have a clear experience of what it's like to work in a production center. We are not known as a Caribbean community of mass production. Well, here in Grenada, we have to do more of that. Most of the things we're wearing are made somewhere else, and it's time that changes. So they'll be contributing to that. So at the end of it all, when you get your second batch, your third batch, or group, we are hoping that all of the, well, maybe not all, but at least some of the trained persons would move on. And so having worked in a production center, move on and create their own. They can decide to do African designs. They can decide to do sports uniforms. They can decide to do handbags, different things for tourists. So they will be exposed to a lot. It's not just production of the shirts. We want to combine this training, productivity, the factory industry approach. That really is the whole idea. So we would have more information, but we're in the final stages here for that Malmont Skills Development Institute as a production center of school uniforms and other uniforms.
Good morning, Rina Pierre from MTV. I'll start with you, Minister responsible for tertiary education. I didn't get when you, or maybe I missed it, who or what organization named WI the best university?
I have that information. I will get it to you very shortly. I can get it to you while we're here. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know you
but it is the top 5% in the Caribbean. Okay. In the world, sorry. Yeah.
I know you were speaking about DFID or DFID.
DFID, yes.
Yes, DFID.
Mm-hmm.
Who is DFID?
It is a United Kingdom donor agency. They are working in the Caribbean. They have selected the 4 Windward Islands to train young people and also disabled persons. And, they have invested, they will be investing $9.1 million in the 4 islands. And Grenada would have its portion of that. So we have a $3.3 million project that we would be part funding. Like I said, we'll be doing 35% of the $3.3 million.
The other question I would like to ask is regarding the new law, the new initiative in new law coming up in September. Mm-hmm. I know that they had an extension in regarding a new hall recently. Is this also part of the initiative coming up in 2019 to house 360 new participants?
Oh, yeah. Well, they would have extended their hospitality arts section, which is a very huge and critical section. They have 2 or 3 classes running concurrently. So they have expanded that there and, of course, added additional training areas. But New Law is not where it has to be. New Law needs a lot of structural improvements to cater for the needs of society. And as a government, we have to do all that we can to support that institution and ensure that it continues to expand. NULO needs land right now to, for further expansion so that it can, provide better programs or more extensive programs, Yeah.
My final question, I know you said that Snell Hall and Malmont is in the final stage. Could you give us an idea as to how soon? A month, 2 months?
Right. We would start both areas September 2019. Snell Hall, we may have, we trust that we don't have a significant delay, but the equipment have to come all the way from Germany. We have ordered the very best. They have to be produced by the manufacturer and shipped to Grenada. But we will start with the training in the life skills of the young persons, because it's all part of your CVQ training. We'll start with the theory while we are with the equipment. So we have very heavy equipment coming, state-of-the-art equipment.
Minister
Final
Pay.
couple of questions, because we're now at 5 minutes after.
All right, this is my last question. Minister Pay, I know that we were expecting some officials from CXC to make a visit to Grenada probably to discuss the way forward. Any updates on that?
Okay, so we do expect CXC to be here the first week of May. And the intention is that they will meet with Ministry of Education officials. They will also meet with persons from the education sector, and they will also meet with parents. So information sharing is one, clarifying concerns another, and we do hope that at the end of this exercise, we will all be a lot clearer as to, what SBA is, how we're supposed to get it done, and to clarify a lot of the doubts that may be there, and give an opportunity for persons to ask direct questions to CXC as well. The visit would be for 2 days, approximately.
Good morning, WPG10, Rachel Bain. My question is to Minister Emmeline Pear. I know you made mention of a few topics that you touched on in the conference yesterday, but can you elaborate a little for me, please?
Okay, so since we got the cue to wrap up already, you don't want me to elaborate and lose the friendship of the press secretary. So I'll just simply say, I'll probably use a joke that was made out of the 3 words that I actually pointed out as critical: collaboration, evaluation, and communication. And I remember the chairman said ECC currency. So those were the 3 words pointing to one, government has been doing, and it's an irrefutable fact that this government has done a lot for teachers. And this government, I believe, respect our teachers. Sometimes we mix things up, and we mix things up to the point that we can make things appear to be something else. I do believe that this government respects our teachers, and I believe that from the deepest part of my heart. I do also believe that this government is doing all that they can for our teachers within the government's means, and I do believe that the government will continue to do as much as it can do to support our teachers. Earlier, I made mention of 30 teachers, persons who have started online studies within schools now, thousands and thousands of dollars. Some stopped actually pursuing studies because they could not afford. And government took a decision, we're going to pay in full whatever the balance that you have. And government is about to make a similar, this is not part of any existing agreement. This is additional. And so whatever government can do, I'm sure government will continue to do in the interest of our teachers. But we can't do that without communication. We have to talk. So if there's a negotiating table, we need to sit there and discuss. if there's an opportunity within the context of the ministry, we have to talk. And I think there is a gap, a conversation gap that needs to be filled. And as minister, I'm saying to the union, as I said yesterday, we are inviting again the new executive. Let us sit, let us discuss. We have the collective agreement between government and the union. There are outstanding things. I won't say to you we've done everything. There are outstanding things, but we need to sit and discuss. So, for example, I'll give you one example. The substitute pool of teachers. The union is saying when a teacher goes off on short leave, in some cases, the classroom is left abandoned, and in some cases, another teacher is burdened to fill that gap. We're saying, yes, we totally agree with that, and we need to find a solution. The solution was identified, that we need to come up with a substitute pool of teachers, and we are working on that. The policy is now complete, just to discuss further and to take to cabinet further. So we are working on those outstanding matters, but we want to work on it together. And I invite the Grenada Union of Teachers, let us work a little closer to address those concerns.
All right, final question, GBN.
Gerald Joseph, GBN. A question, if any of the ministers could answer, what would have transpired with the highly qualified administrator and new executive post that was announced for TAMCC in August of last year?
Yes, you're referring to the Petna-McMaster partnership. All right, there. The president, of course, was not appointed, as was stated before, and there has been some new developments and discussions are being held now regarding that partnership for TAMCC, Petna, Government of Grenada, and we will very shortly have a formal update, a formal press release for you on this, as you know, as everything is now being finalized. All right, so there's not much that we can say now on this, just that the president, of course, was not appointed as yet. All right?
This comes on the reports that the funding of thing from Petna Foundation was lost.
Well, all of these are being discussed, and that is part of what we will report to you formally when we can do so. Yes? Okay.
Thank you very much, Ministers, Pear and Moses, and also members of the media. Thank you very much for your questions this morning. As usual, you have a wealth of material to report on. Any clarifications, please feel free to call the Office of the Press Secretary. I'm always available to assist. To our listening and viewing public, thank you for joining us. We do hope to see you again next time. I'm Philomena Robertson. Thanks again.
It is said that education is the key to success. The Grenada Development Bank believes this to be the truth, hence the reason we have made it our prerogative to ensure that your key is in safe hands with us. Here is how you can unlock your success with an education loan from the GDB. We offer you 3 loan options. We've got our regular student loan, our work-study student loan, and our special student loan. Our regular student loan is for persons who wish to pursue full-time tertiary level education. If you are a permanent employee who wish to study while continuing your employment, then our work-study loan is for you. Our special student loan is in collaboration with the Government of Grenada, geared towards vulnerable persons who would like to pursue higher level education. Remember, you must have proof of admission from a recognized institution here at home or abroad. All our loans are 100% financing with interest rates as low as 5%. Get your funding from GDB today for your tertiary level education, your technical training or vocational training, even professional development, with up to 12 years to repay. Your future success is today. Grab it now.
It is said that education is the key to success. The Grenada Development Bank believes this to be the truth. Hence the reason we have made it our prerogative to ensure that your key is in safe hands with us. Here is how you can unlock your success with an education loan from the GDB. We offer you 3 loan options. We've got our regular student loan, our work-study student loan, and our special student loan. Our regular student loan is for persons who wish to pursue full-time tertiary level education. If you are a permanent employee who wish to study while continuing your employment, then our work-study loan is for you. Our special student loan is in collaboration with the government of Grenada, geared towards vulnerable persons who would like to pursue higher level education. Remember, you must have proof of admission from a recognized institution here at home or abroad. All our loans are 100% financing with interest rates as low as 5%. Get your funding from GDB today for your tertiary level education, your technical training or vocational training, even professional development, with up to 12 years to repay. Your future success is today. Grab it now.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
When I see the news on the TV and on Facebook, it really hit me. It is sad. Yeah. Grenada never used to be so. This thing wasn't common so before, and it's sad.
And good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and the Pity Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott.
I'm Devon Romain.
Yeah, something ain't right on the system here today, man.
Something not.
Yeah, something ain't right on the system. Now you take a little music there.
Sexual crimes going on in this place this time today. I say no, take a stand. Take a stand now. Yes, let's stop sexual assault. Come together and stamp it out. Take a stand now. Take it right now. Yes, let's all have a proud nation and rid this scourge from our land, and let's rise again. Let Grenada smile again. Yes, make sure we enforce the laws, jail all of them abusers. Rise again, give we victims hope again. Yes, let them know we feel their pain and we're ready to fight for them. Grenada, stand. Carriacou, stand. Pity Martinique, let's stand and make that fall. You hear me? Do you believe me? You hear me?
Yeah, Devon, let's try that one again. Man. And this one sounds reasonable.
much better,
Yeah, so
yeah.
we'll sort that mic out afterwards
Oh, yeah.
anyway. And again, yeah, it's now 11:15, 15 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. And yesterday, we had a parliament sitting, so we didn't have our talk yesterday. And this morning, we had the post-cabinet press briefing. The ministers that were up to the podium this morning is the Honorable Pamela Moses and the Honorable Emmeline Pear, the ministers within the Ministry of Education, giving a lot of information in relation to some of the educational projects to come. Yeah, that project along with NULO being sponsored by DFID, at DFID project, yeah, the UK external funding agency, who decided that they wanted to get into the project in Grenada, a project that was initially supposed to be funded totally by the government of Grenada to provide CVQ qualification for Grenadians. DFID came in and decided, no, Grenada has been doing so well economically, etc. We want to be part of that success, so we're going to sponsor 65% of that project. So, wonderful one, man.
Yeah, wonderful. Almost 2/3 of the funding coming out from them. That's a good ease there for our government. So, I mean, the additional, funds could be allocated for something else. You know, while government is planning.
It enough things so the funds to go
Definitely.
to. But outside of that, you also have, yesterday, for instance, there was a launch of the Caribbean Coding Academy. That's where Bobby Starmat used to be there on H.A. Blaze Street. And it's interesting. I was speaking with some of the individuals there yesterday. I attended the opening myself. And it's very interesting because what they're offering is coding, as you know, for a computer to work, for a mobile phone to work, for a drone to work, for a robot to work, for some of the equipment that you use in a factory and so on to work. They have to be programmed. So what they're going to be teaching individuals is coding. Speaking, in other words, writing the language that computers and software interacts with. The zeros and the ones in the proper order.
Yeah.
To be able to tell a robot, go left, or go right, or stop, or do this or do that. And it falls in line with a discussion we've had on Hard Talk before in relation to the issue of how you focus your employment. In other words, the United Kingdom has started a program. What they're focusing on is exactly what's being offered here through the Caribbean Coding Academy. What the UK government has done is that they have started a project where they are retraining individuals. We know, for instance, that in 10 years from now, you may not be seeing a teller in a bank. You may not be going and stand up in any line. The banks are already doing their very best to get rid of you from doing that. That's an additional cost to them. They're about the bottom line. Yeah? They're about the bottom line. Profit. How they can make money. So they don't want you coming and have to stand up in no line. Don't think they like that. They don't want you come there. They prefer that you go through a teller machine or that you use your mobile device. That's why some banks are offering mobile banking, that you use your mobile device and so. That is what is going to happen. A category of workers will no longer exist. Let's say in 10 years, it could be even longer, it could be 15 years, but a category of worker is heading to extinction, and that's bank tellers. You won't be having that.
Redundancy.
It also means that the staff in general at banks are going to get smaller. But in order to do that, technology has to play a part. What does the English government decide? They say, okay, we realize that that's going to cause, one, there are going to be less jobs available for the people who are coming up now. And for some of the people who are employed now, it means they will no longer be employed. So they've started on focusing on robotics. They've started on focusing on creating those computer engineers and mechanical engineers and so. They've focused on technology on a serious line. And what they've done is that they are trying to create now, make sure that the UK is going to be creating the robotics and the software and doing the coding, etc. for the rest of the world. So their people will have jobs while they are creating the things that are going to be taking the jobs for other people. And even in their country, where people would be losing one category of jobs, they are planning to retrain those people now as the factory workers, as the coders, as the creators of the very same software that are going to be used in the UK and other places. Now, coding. For individuals who are going to be doing coding. Yeah? For the individuals who are going to be doing coding, when you do coding actually can bring in a lot of money for individuals. So if you're doing coding and you're working on other aspects of technology like that, you can actually sit at home, you have your internet connection and you have your laptop or you have your so on, your computer and so. Wouldn't advise you to do it from a tablet, but you have your laptop and so on, and you're doing coding from home. Devon, the baseline salary that you can get is $30 an hour.
Wow.
That's the baseline. And when I say the baseline, that's the bottom salary. That is salary for somebody who just learn how to do coding and get certified and so. A person who is on the upper echelon, could make 85 US an hour and up. So you can have individuals really who are making over $14,000 a month if they decide, and from home. So in other words, you can have your job here and you're doing coding in the evening time when you go home.
And you're making 10 times,
Yeah.
20 times the amount that you usually would make.
Imagine you give yourself 10 hours a week. That's at $30 at the lowest level, 10 hours a week at the lowest level doing coding. And you'd basically be making somewhere, 300 US a week. That's 600, so 1,200 US. And remember, apart from the job that you have. Yeah, so the Coding Academy, they'll be offering classes in doing coding. And once you're certified there, they will be able to provide you with the opportunity to do coding and be paid. So we'll give more information. We'll get one of the folks in from the Coding Academy. We'll get them in studio with us so you can get more information. They're also going to be offering classes in drone technology if you want to learn to fly drones and fix drones and so on, classes in drone technology and these sort of things. But we'll get more information and let you all know about those things. Yeah, because imagine a person able to stay here in Grenada and make 14,000 US a month. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I know a lot of people ears just prick up in relation to that one. We're going to get some more info and let you all know.
And it's possible out there. It's possible. Don't just listen and smile. It's possible if we all put our mind, to it.
So, and this is being done, the Honorable Peter David, he cut the ribbon to that facility yesterday. As I said, it's where the old Bobby Starmat is there. So, where old Bobby Starmat was on H.A. Blaze Street. So, tongue people, all you know what I'm talking about, right? Other people is above the carnage behind the fire station there.
On top of the fire station.
All you know. Yeah.
But who don't know what Bobby Starmat?
But a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the younger
and
ones.
Here's a good thing. They're offering these classes in coding and so to children as well. So you have the classes are from 7, if you're between 7 and 18 years old and you want to learn how to build games. Like my two sons, the first two sons, three, but the first two sons, they're deeply into computer games. And I don't stop them because I know that there's an industry in computer games, and in playing the games, you just make sure you know which games they're playing. But there are games where I see, like my eldest, he would go into it, and he would be building the landscape and all this sort of thing. So I realized, but I know that there's an industry in it, so I don't tell him, well, don't play. Yes, you have to spend your time with your books, but you allow them to play with it as well. So they will also be teaching at the Caribbean Coding Academy how to build the computer games, how to create apps, and create your own programs. So in other words, how to create the app that in 4 years from now, when I go to Foodland supermarket, if I decide I'm going there and I'm not just going to pull my mobile phone and order and have it delivered, that when I walk through and I put the items into my bag, into my trolley, that I just pass my phone over it and it cash in it one time. So when I reach to the front, all I have to do is have it bagged and walk out. I don't have to go through a cashier again. Yeah, but that is what is going to happen. And it's going to end up in a situation where you don't have the cashiers in the supermarkets again. But do you just say, well, these people are going to go home? No, you retrain them as the people to do the coding. You retrain them as the people to create the software, to be able to handle these things. And then they won't only be employed here in Grenada, they'll stay here in Grenada and be employed around the world. Yeah?
They're marketable.
So Little Grenada, we have a lot of potential because we have a high percentage of young people, and technology is a good avenue for them to make a lot of money. Some of the movies that you're seeing in the United States right now, a lot of the software work, the computer generated graphics, because these people usually shoot the entire thing with they have them on chains and harnesses and so in front of a green screen, and then some individual sits down and frame by frame builds the background and puts in the special effects. Trinidad, there are people in Trinidad have been making a couple $1 million yearly just doing that. There are companies in Trinidad that have been doing that. What do they have? Computers and electricity. And people who understand and know how to use the technology. So here in Grenada, it's not like you have to go and import a whole 3 or 4 containers worth of stuff, but using computer technology and making sure that persons have the knowledge how to do it, you're creating that opportunity. So that's another direction and another opportunity for young persons. So individuals can register for classes and so on. The registration costs $60. The program cost is $200, and they do 6 classes per month and so. But it is worth it. It is definitely worth it, because $200 and you're going back and make EC, and you're going back and 260 EC. You're going back and make 300 US at the bottom round, 300 US a week. It is possible. So, right, and we'll give you, as I said, we'll give you some more information in relation to that as we get more information in relation to that. Let's say a special good morning to all of you on the live this morning. Hannah, Chris, yeah, I'm seeing both of you, both of you up front and center. Sonia is there.
Denise.
Yeah, Toro is there as well. Patricia, good morning. Ken Dunn, good morning as well. So good morning to each and every one of you. And we hope that you're having a fabulous morning. Remember to like and share the live. Devon, opportunity again for people who are interested in becoming traffic wardens.
Yes.
There'll be examination 1 week from today, next week Wednesday. We won't be on Friday, and we won't be on Monday, so we're going to be giving you this information now, because by the time we give you Tuesday, maybe too short notice for some persons. So traffic wardens, people who are interested in becoming traffic wardens, there's an examination, recruitment examination for it. And Devon, tell them where and when.
The date is the 24th of April, 2019, commencing at 9 a.m., right, at the Special Services Unit at Point Saline. In other words, the SSU barracks, right, close to the airport.
Yeah.
And so, 9 a.m., right, on the 24th of April.
I didn't see any specific information as to what qualifies a person. We will do you the favor of contacting the RGPF and getting the specifics. I know when I'm saying that, somebody, they already start to put it together to send out. One thing, boy, they just listen. By the time we talk on Hard Talk, then we say that.
The information
by tomorrow, you've seen a message come out saying, listen, this is what you need to do to become a traffic. Because we don't want people going there who do not qualify. We don't want people going there who would not qualify. We want to make sure that if you go there, that you will qualify. All right? Nice, because we want you to get you. You know we like you, so we want you to get you. We don't like you and we love you.
And I know there are lots of young persons who may not really want to get into the Royal Grenada Police Force per se, full time, but will glad for the opportunity to be a traffic warden. And so, right? And to dealing with people and so. So I'm holding opportunity.
We're really talking about opportunities this morning, because look.
That's all it has in Grenada, and opportunities.
And the thing is that you have to know about it, because some people just, that's why all you have to listen to Hard Talk and share the live. Look, the GDB, they are offering an unsecured loan of up to $30,000 for you to start a small business. You could start a business. If you have a business operating already, they're willing to give you $30,000 to make your business grow or expand the business, or it might even be to save your business.
What I sit down doing here still?
Yeah, but it's for salaried employees. You must be working somewhere and you have a salary and you have a business on the side. GDB is willing to give you up to $30,000 to start that business. Terms and conditions apply. You should go into the GDB on Melville Street. Go in and check them there. Have a good chat and thing with them, and they go tell all you exactly what all you had to do.
Wow.
You could give them a call. We'll tell you the number. 440-1620. 440-1620. People say it are nothing happening in Grenada. Opportunities left, right, and center. Somebody go take that and they'll do a mass band, boy. They'll do a small mass band. That's where you find, boy. Let you apply, but we'll do a small mass band.
Yeah, small mass band coming up there. I mean, that's...
Yeah. We'll call it Hard Talk. Hard Talk on the road. Man. Do it thing. Hard Talk on the road.
Hard Talk on the road.
On us, we could buy a 2 drone for Party Grenada, where you find. www.partygrenada, we buy 2 drone for Party Grenada.
And do much more advertising and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's a good move. Chris, behave.
Yeah, again a two drone for not Hard Talk, but for Party Grenada and thing, and we doing thing. Yeah. So there are a lot of opportunities coming up. Hey, Helen Marie. Morning, Helen. We know on the 27th she'll be having her band launch at the Lavo Lanes. Yeah, she'll be having her band launch. So one by one. This year I'm seeing a lot of pretty mass bands. I think if it's one thing we're gonna have for Carnival, outside of a lot of people coming in because
Pretty
flights
fancy
kind of
mass.
book out every 2 minutes and add on more. But there's going to be a lot of fancy mass. What I'm worried about is how much of the traditional mass we see. The fancy mass is the fancy mass, but how much shortney, Veko, while Indian, I see. No jab on pretty mass.
No jab.
Jab is not pretty mass. Jab is mass, but it's not pretty mass.
Yeah,
Right?
Chris, Saraka, 26th of April, Riversali.
Yeah, that's coming up as well on the 26th.
You coming? They already sent it.
Actually, it's a situation that a lot of people have started coming into Grenada for the Riversali Saraka. There are some people that I'm not saying is playing full yet, but there are quite a few people that are coming in.
That and the Maroon Festival in Carriacou.
They're coming in. Well, not only Maroon Festival for Carriacou, it's gotten to the stage a lot of people come in for and Maroon Festival is next week, by the way. A lot of people come in for All Saints. And at least the other name I know it by. All Saints as well. All right? Hey, and the folks up in Monlong, they have their day of cricket that's going to be taking place this Friday. For registration, you could call 416-1410. 416-1410 if you want to go and play cricket up in Monlong. Registration fee is $50. There are some nice prizes and so on. So that's Monlong cricket team. They're having a day of cricket, so all you feel like you could go up in Monlong and beat them, go up in Monlong. Call Mr. B. His number is 416-1410. Registration fee is $50. Monlong people, good morning.
And while we talking Monlong, we just switch on the other side and we go to Mount Horn. Friday coming. It's the annual Mount Horn Sports. Don't miss it. Right?
Let me
Don't miss it.
Let me give you a message and you go realize why I kind of start laughing there. I just get a message and you go know who it is. Food Fest, there's the message I get. Food Fest is on the 10th of May. I still have the log on the fridge.
Super. But I was up there last time and I ain't have get no oil long.
Customs, Prisons and Airport Authority on board this year. So folks, all roads lead to Pearls on the 10th of May. Food for soul. And all you know them policemen and them don't joke when they come into food. All you know the Royal Grenada Police Force don't joke when they come into food.
Serious food.
You talk about it, you're getting it. Don't look for wild meat. Wild meat kind of out of season. Don't look for that. The police wouldn't encourage you in that. But you can look for other things. You'll get all kind of things. You want oil down, you want oil up, you want oil across again, oil across and all. You see, we're coming up to the holy season. There's a hot cross buns. You're getting oil across.
And you're supposed to be getting real fish too. You see right where it is? Close by the sea.
Hey, Devon, I wanted to deal with an issue this morning. But let me go to I see a phone. The phone was ringing. I see the phone line ringing there.
Good morning and welcome.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Sheldon Scott and Devon Romain.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you are doing?
Oh, we fine. We good.
You hearing me?
We're hearing you.
We're hearing you.
Well, I want to say good morning to Mr. Watts and also to Mr. Deputy and to Patricia and Mr. Campbell, Matthew Campbell, Cathy and Cox. Everybody on them, I want to wish them a happy Easter. Happy Easter. You hearing me, Sheldon?
Yeah, we're hearing you. We're hearing you. Go right ahead.
Some kind of hot in some, but still kind of slow for that Easter. I don't know if you go pick up a little later. Nothing going on by here, but the past few weeks still kind of dead. I don't know if you're waiting for a Buju show or whatever. Anyhow, I'm here. All them guys here. We're just watching. You know, Sheldon, I listened to the news last night. I want you to explain that to me. What's wrong with Mr. Tobias? What's really going on? Could you explain to me what's going on? Because everybody in song, today in the little group we are talking, People look at some man saying he go play a good opposition. All kind of things. All kind of things to say. So I don't know if you know what really going on, if you could explain to me, because I didn't get everything on the news there. So if you know what's going on, could you explain it to me so I could get a full understanding of what's really going on? Because everybody just sitting up and then you know, they say all kind of things. Oh, yeah. I just telling you what I'm hearing on the terminal. People in the group saying he go make a good opposition. When Mr. Tobias, I'm begging you, please, sir. If you go be a good opposition, don't go on the other side there. Don't go there, sir. You're a very intelligent man.
All right.
And you're a man like me who speak out when things is not right. But I beg you, don't want to join nobody. This is what I'm hearing out there. I don't know what it is.
All right, my dear.
So tell anybody who has a full knowledge of what's going on. Explain to me on to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
All right. The bottom line is this. Simply that he has complained about the procedure that the parliament, not the government, the parliament has not been providing the information on a timely manner. Yeah, people want to read what they want to read into the rest of his statement and all kind of thing. And who would think that they would see us come here and attack Brother Tobias Clement? Mr. Tobias Clement is a member of Parliament for St. George Northeast, is he not?
He's a parliamentary representative.
Which he won on a new National Party ticket, did he not?
Yes, and twice.
And he has always been known as a person that speaks his mind when he wants to, has he not?
Always.
So people want to read anything into what he says, they can read whatever they want into what he says. I'm not going to comment further on that. I think that the best person to comment will be he himself, and when the time comes and he has to talk and say anything, he'll say that. But even outside of that, though, there's another issue from yesterday's Parliament sitting where I've been looking at social media over the last few hours. I kind of went to bed early yesterday. I was a bit sleepy, so I went to bed early yesterday. When I got up last night, I was looking at some of the comments and so. I actually had to snooze some people for a 30 days on social media because I was trying to understand. And this is, Junior George, this is inclusive of you. Where you all got that the Honorable Delma Thomas said to people, don't post on social media about child abuse and these kind of things. I am wondering to make sure that I, Sheldon Scott, ain't going crazy. I went back this morning. I got the piece of audio and I played it back to myself 25 times to hear where you all got this thing about the Honorable Delma Thomas said people shouldn't post and speak about this thing on social media.
That's absurd.
I was trying to... Her audio, 2 minutes, 27 seconds long. I listened to the entire thing. No way did she say, don't post. Nowhere did she say, don't post. Nowhere did she say, don't discuss.
And she will never say that.
Common sense dictates that when you're dealing with an issue like child abuse, and I'm saying this to some of my colleagues in the media too, common sense dictates that when you do these things, that you try as much as possible to protect the victim. Nobody ain't speaking about the perpetrator. Protect the victim. For instance, one young lady messaged me from Canada a few months ago. There was an issue of child abuse, something going around. She messaged me. You know what her story was? She was abused as a child. She was very good friends with a certain female announcer here in Grenada. No, not you, Brenda Batiste. Not Brenda Batiste. But she's very good friends with a certain female announcer here in Grenada. She went to the female announcer after hearing her speak about child abuse and this kind of thing. She went to the female announcer and she said, you know, she was abused as a child and she never spoke about it and that kind of thing. And it's part of the reason that she left Grenada to live in Canada, because she didn't want to be around the circumstances that caused that for her and so. Right. She said before she could get home, another individual was able to tell her that I hear you get abused. I hear this one do that and that. You don't do that kind of thing. You don't do that sort of thing. Because you know why? The minister is basically saying, protect the young lady, protect the child, protect the people who have been in this sort of... The ministry has its responsibility. And her as minister, you don't expect her to come out and say, well, the court this and the court that and so on. There's a separation. That's why there's a separation of state. There's a separation between the government, the executive, and the judiciary. The government is the government. That means the prime minister and the different ministers and the permanent secretaries and the staff in the ministries. That's the government. You have the executive, which is, well, those in the parliament. Yeah, you have the parliamentary system, people who are in parliament, the MPs and the senators, that's the executive. And then you have, in addition to that, you have the judiciary, which is separate. So while the executive of parliament creates the laws and so, parliament creates the laws, they put the laws in place, and you have the police force and so on to arrest people if you break the law. But then it's up to the judiciary. In fact, judges, magistrates are not appointed by the government of Grenada. They are appointed by Judicial and Legal Services Committee, which is a regional body. It's not even a Grenada body. It's a regional body. The Judicial and Legal Services Committee. So the minister is right when she says you cannot expect the executive to speak on that. It would be improper. And if you pick between the lines, you could tell that she's upset about it. But nowhere I see other people, oh, she must resign, she must this. Nonsense. Where did she say people mustn't post on social media and say anything about this? Where did she say that?
I didn't hear that for sure.
In fact, watch. Let's play what she said.
Yeah, I was about to tell you that. Let's play what she said.
Let's play what she said. I want to hear which part of it she said people mustn't post. Because I said that, you see, the thing is, we have a tendency right now to just jump on bandwagon. We have a set of bandwagonists in this place. They jump on a bandwagon. It look popular. They get in likes. They get in people to talk about them and call the name and say that they saw the hero or this and that. So I set up bandwagonists. So some people did not even listen to what the minister said. But they want to jump on the minister case. You ain't even listen. You have not heard. Because if you heard what she said, you would not be saying what you're saying. So here's an opportunity for you to listen to what she said.
And listen carefully.
Representative for St. Andrew Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to report to this honorable house that the government of Grenada will continue to put resources, personal, organizational, and financial into the ongoing fight against child sexual abuse. It is a matter that continues to garner our attention and our very deepest concerns. One of the latest cases, which has been very much in the public domain, is one of those cases too many. We are aware that there have been some widespread comments about the results of the particular case in the court. Mr. Speaker, you will appreciate that it will be reckless and irresponsible for the executive to make public comments on judicial matters. The ministry rightfully has no say, no influence on the judicial process. Our mandate is to work in the interest of families, particularly children, and to try to assist families, guardians, and the wider community to make safer communities for all our children. Our ministry will provide the resources, finance, the counseling, whatever necessary to also help rescue children from troublesome situations and to help bring perpetrators to justice. We will never be satisfied until no child is at risk. We are aware that we are in a difficult struggle, but one, nonetheless, we are prepared to take up with energy and purpose. It is a responsibility we undertake, and it is a responsibility that we hope the wider community will share with us. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to also say that what I understand that it's a vexing issue, and as mothers, we are also upset. But we have to, with all the emotions, we have to ensure that while we are speaking in public domain, that we do not create more harm than good on the child. And therefore, I urge our people who are writing in social media, who are commenting, let us also think about the child and the effect we can have on her by what we are doing at present. Thank you, sir.
Now, what part of that did she say don't post?
I'm trying to figure out.
What part of that did she say that she upset with people who posting? Because she said, be mindful of the child when you're posting.
The child
In other
principle.
words, if you're posting details that can lead the community to know who the child is, which is actually illegal, but if you can get details to point out who the child is, one, you're endangering the child. Because we are in communities here. And Ollie might tolerate it. I wouldn't tolerate it around me. I'm a different kind of guy. But you have people, you have people who would see a child that has been abused, a child that has been raped, and make fun of the child. There are sick people in this place who would see a child that has been raped and make fun of the child. And we're talking male or female. That is why some people don't go and report. You think everybody is a Michelle Alexander, go stand up there and talk and say, well, look, this happened to me. Ask her what statements, what comments people does show. Ask her. When people have a child that has been raped and you see the child passing, and some idiots sit down at the side of the road and saying, look, so and so meat going. You all know what I'm saying is true. Don't play like we're so innocent and all kind of thing and all, you don't know better. But you all jump on the minister case now, like if she said something wrong, when she said be mindful. Because if you post on social media specific details of the case that can lead other people to know who the child is, you're setting the child up for a lot of mental anguish in the future. Now when the child go to school, other children saying, that is why your father did rape you.
And they're trying to...
And there's that sort of... Children are brutal, you know. Children for themselves brutal, you know. When children ready for you, you know.
Very much so.
Say, mure boy, your father rape you. That sort of thing. That happens in our society. So where's the minister wrong by saying that we must be responsible on social media? Where is she wrong in saying that?
Well, they basically lying on the minister, you know, Sheldon.
Nobody audio is there, and any person with common sense, that's why I'm going to qualify it by saying any person with common sense will easily be able to say that the minister never said that. She never said don't post. She said be mindful. Because what you are causing on that victim, in other words, you're mentally raping the child again. That is what some of all you're doing, and all you don't realize that is what all you're doing. Nobody is saying that you can't say, well, okay, I feel that the perpetrator is supposed to get this and the perpetrator is supposed to get that. I see stupidness posted by some people. I obviously didn't listen and going fully on just emotion. Yes, I just talk emotional, but believe me, I just think through what I'm going to say. That is why I can say I've been on radio for the longest while and never had one court case. Because I might sound emotional, but believe me, I've thought through what I'm going to say. I ain't just come in and just start to talk. The minister is right. Even if it means, okay, you hear that a child in a particular area was raped by the father. You come and you call the father name. What you just do?
You expose the child.
What you just do? Because we know it have some idiots in this place that are going to see the child and going to torment that child mentally. They're going to torment that child. Outside of other little children, nobody's saying protect the father. Nobody's saying protect the father. But we live on an island of 100 and something thousand people. Sometimes we down to 90 something because a lot does travel. We live on a small island. Where you going and hide? Where you going and hide? You ain't fair down, you can't just disappear. Where you going and hide? We live on a small island. You all ask yourself sometimes, why some young ladies behave in the way they behave? Sit them down and ask them what happened to them in the past. Because sometimes they go and they talk. And sometimes the mental abuse that they go through from the community that they're from. Oh, you're lying on the man. You're accustomed taking this. You're accustomed taking that man. I'm sorry for being so raw today, but that is what you are saying out there. And you all are the same ones who are attacking the minister now and talking about the minister. You all are the same ones who see the man sit down by the rum shop when the little 13 and 14-year-old passing and say, one more plum season for that. And you don't hold him and slap him. You all are the same ones doing that. But you jump in. Oh, she jump on we case and she jump on we case. You all are not solution-oriented. The minister said nothing wrong and she should say it again. Minister Delma Thomas, say it again. Because if they could start to jump on your case, believe me, something wrong with them.
Them have a problem.
Maybe we need to investigate because maybe some of them may have suffered the mental anguish themselves. We need to investigate.
That is a serious issue.
Well, I listened to this thing 25 times to try and figure out, well, maybe there's something that I'm missing. Maybe there's a word that could be misconstrued or something that we twisted to see that she said something that you seen children that were raped and you see the person in the community, the living in the community that the incident took place in and that the perpetrator is from, even if the perpetrator is in jail, and you have some stupid people in the community seeing them passing and say, look, so and so meet. Or when they want to throw something in their face, they go throw it and say, that's why your father do that, or that's why your uncle do that, or that's why the man they hold you down, or some kind of stupidness. That is what takes place here in Grenada. Let's be direct and straight about it. You are mentally causing mental anguish to the children and others who have been involved in these sort of activities. That is why many people tend to try and leave. That is why many people try to get out. And you hear they're living in the States. You hear so-and-so, you just see so-and-so disappear, they're living in the States.
Some of them changing names too.
They living in Canada. They go on in the States. Some people listen to them in the States and Canada. All you know are saying it's true. Because some always happen to all you and some all you know people that it happened to. That you just had to get out of Grenada because of the mental anguish you were being put through. Not necessarily by the perpetrator or seeing the perpetrator around.
For those around.
For those around that know what happened, knew what happened, did nothing about it, or decided to victim blame the victim. Oh, you was dressing so and so. That is why they hold you down. You was dressing so and so. Victim blaming. Somebody could walk the street naked. As man, you have no right to hold them down. You're wrong. Victim blaming. Oh, she accustomed. She always running away from home.
Yeah, don't worry with she, man.
Don't worry with she.
Yeah.
She was behind so and so with a bunch of little boy. All sorts of story. Victim blaming. Why you think the minister said what she said? She's saying, protect these people. They've been through enough already. A child, you all put out some information about the thing. A big part of the information, wrong.
You know, I just be
big parts of the information. It's not saying that something ain't happened. It's not saying that what went on, I ain't part of the executive. Me and Devon could say it. What went on in the court, as far as we're concerned, is wrong. But the court could only deal with what information it had before it. Which is why when Junior called, I asked him the question, what took place in the court? Couldn't answer. Couldn't answer. Then you, Junior, for yourself, jumping up and talking about, oh, they trying, who the hell trying to shut you up? You, Junior George, who trying to shut you up? Who tell you don't talk about something and who tell you hush up? The minister is saying be careful and be mindful. If you're only interested in looking for likes and viewers, that's one thing. But, and you know, I say partner, and that's why I'll talk to you straight. If you're interested in looking for likes and viewers, that's one thing. If you're looking to actually help the situation, is another thing. And you don't help the situation by putting the victim into a situation where they can be blamed. You don't do that. As I said, there's a certain media person, popular media person here. The young lady tell me, she say, I feel so hurt because before I could even leave tongue, somebody was able to come and tell me, look, you did get raped, so and so. And she said, I didn't tell anybody else. I just told that media person in full confidence because I thought there was a person that understanding and so on. But before they could have leave tongue, other people was able to tell them. And they was able to tell them who they hear it from, so they know for a fact it came from there. Anyway.
Well, you notice I'm silent on a lot of these issues because, I mean, this thing is not an easy thing, you know. I mean, to be treating our children like that, and based on what the minister have said, right? She's definitely 200% trying to protect our children. She's a responsible mother, a minister, a parliamentary representative. I mean, she looks at it at all sides. She's not telling you, don't comment. It is your right to comment. And so, but be careful and be mindful of what you say, because it could bring more serious harm to the children.
Saw them commenting. Or they sit down in the rum shop, man drinking, or some fellas liming, a child passing, the little girl just start to get shape or some kind of thing, and some idiot in the midst, one more guava season, one more plum season, or one more mango season for that. That's a pedophile. And you're laughing when they say that.
Laughing and drinking.
But you to get up and bust a slap in the face. Don't worry, I'll pay the bill.
You know, Sheldon.
Bust a slap in the face, you're there laughing, that is joke. A child that you know now has been involved in some one of this activity, and they, like some of them just come, oh, don't worry them, that's how that family day. Father always taking and uncle always taking, and that's how that family day and that kind of thing. There's a lot of verbal abuse that go with this thing.
Family ram and all kind of thing.
Yeah, you just hear this kind of things.
Yeah.
You all know what I'm saying is true, so don't come and play all you want to tell me anything afterwards. I said what I said and I said.
You know, Sheldon, there are times when you hear the police give some report about missing teen or so, and it might be a 14-year-old young lady or a 15-year-old and so, and the kind of comment you hear some grown men and women, right, talking, oh, don't worry, she accustomed, leaving and go and sleep with some other boyfriend and this and that. And you're talking about a minor. A minor you're talking about, when you should be getting out there seeking information to find that minor, to return her back to her parents. And so you continue making these kind of comments on radio, on social media, you know, accusing the young person of doing things that you don't even know about.
And that's
the
thing.
We need to stop
what
that.
we're saying is, do not continue the practice. I mean, if you want to do it, you don't care, and you want to do it, Grenada is a democracy. We're a democracy. If you want to continue going that direction, well, nobody can tell you no. We're saying the approach is, because the minister never told anybody, don't post on social media. She never told anybody, don't raise these issues, don't talk about these issues, and don't condemn certain things.
And she never
said it. She said, be mindful when you're doing that. Because in other words, you might be doing something and it might be positive. You might be doing something and it might be negative. Be mindful of what you're doing, the outcome of it. That if you're saying certain things that would lead to the verbal, mental, and other abuse of the child, further abusing somebody that was already abused. Because believe me, even as a 5-year-old child right now, there are people right now with no conscience in communities who, when they see the child passing, will be making whispers. Daddy child. Oh, you didn't hear about the child that they talk about? Daddy child, the man rape. Daddy man, the child do that. And so on. And the child is hearing that. The child is hearing that. You're mentally abusing the child. Even when the child gets older. You didn't hear about the case where the man, they do so and so up in that area years ago. Daddy girl. When she go in school, they're whispering. And when they're ready to throw something at them, you tell them.
And what? And we're not
That's
talking.
how they operate.
And we're not talking about only our young ladies, you know, our young men, our young boys.
Well, even worse with men.
Right? I mean, that is going on, and you hear the kind of comment that is being made. I mean, against our young people, or the persons who we're supposed to be protecting, minors. Remember, there is a law. There is laws that protect our young ones, our minors. Right? We can find ourselves in hot water when we make certain comments and do certain things to minors. Be mindful of it. And some of us, we have children, you know, and we make these stupid comments.
Well, look, I think a lot of people make comments going on emotion without thinking clearly. I see somebody,
and some of them
the minister,
too.
The minister need to resign. The minister, what she had to resign over? For talking the truth? Resign for what?
Some of them making the comments because they're just worthless.
You could do better.
You know what I'm saying? They're just worthless. They have no love.
You hear a lot of these comments and I try to wonder, where's the sense in this? Okay, what is this person trying to achieve? Is there a political end? And I'm not saying that the comments I saw yesterday have any political end, because some of the people that made the comments, me and them is good friend, and I'll talk to them individually. Yeah? But look, they didn't get anything about the case correct. Oh, the man just had to pay our money and he go. The man have a 12-month prison sentence,
Of course. Shaggy, thanks for giving an explanation.
The man have a 12-month prison sentence, and if you don't pay the money, there's another year added to that.
Another year.
And plus you're on a bond and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not that the man get away scot-free. In relation, in fact, though you Scott with this now, the man get away free. It's not like that. Is apart from the fine, he has a suspended prison sentence, it meaning outside, but he could end up inside any time. That sort of thing.
He have a 2-year sentence over his head still, suspended sentence.
Additional to that, if people are saying that the case needs to be revisited and evidence can be provided, because, again, as my good friend Brenda Batiste was saying, you cannot judge a case on information. You have to judge the case on evidence. Information is, Sheldon was the man with the cutlass that stick me up behind handle and rob me. The police come, they pick me up, they say the person identify you as the person, and so the police and them have to be able to charge me now. Where's the evidence? Well, officer, I wasn't there, I was down Granance, and I have proof that I was down Granance. So if you go and you check Real Value IGA, you go see me on the camera there at that point in time. I'm sure they have cameras there. You go pick me up there at that point in time. The officers go, they find that the evidence is that I'm not guilty. I was down there. Mm-hmm. When you look, there may be another person that look as me. And you may find the cutlass, but you find a cutlass, that's still no evidence. You find the person's wallet, then you have evidence. That is the person that stick up the person. You have to have evidence, not information. Information, anybody could say anything. You have to judge a case on evidence. Because somebody, quote-unquote, evidence you was hearing being put across social media by different people.
They disappear now.
All of a sudden, they started to change the song now because that evidence doesn't exist.
It does not exist.
Nobody is saying that nothing didn't happen. We're saying be careful.
No collaboration.
Be careful, be careful, be careful. Protect the children. Protect the children. That's why when people come and they wanted to get it, I ain't taking no details in relation to that on this program, not me.
The message is to protect our young ones. Most of us have children, right? We have to be mindful of the hurt and the pain that these children will go through after, based on the comments that we make. All right? And
anyway,
this one is,
but I think we had enough to say about that. Time done.
Yeah,
because we had a postcard before. So, folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been wonderful being here with you. And whatever you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you.
Not about you.
Yes, indeed. So
Peace
we
out.
are out of here.
Yeah.